Hey guys, Will here. In my last gear video, it was an overview of this Warbonnet Blackbird that I'm sitting in right now. And at the end of the video I said my next gear video was going to be a look at the Paria Outdoor Products sill nylon or sanctuary Siltarp. And so I'm finally getting around to doing that video. Meant to do it a month ago, but had a bunch of trips with my kids and family, and you know, solo one as well, I think, in there, and just been busy doing trip videos. Last month, if you've been following me, you've seen a lot of those. So yeah, here's a quick gear video to take a break from the trip videos. I have got the sanctuary Siltarp here from Paria Outdoor Products. They actually have a bunch of different options. They have a variety of sizes and 3 different cut styles. They have a perfectly rectangle style, 8x10, and maybe a couple other sizes. They also have a tapered cut, which is where it just gets narrower at one end than from the other end, and those are good for like ground dwellers that are going to use it on the ground and, you know, want to get away from the more open A-frame style that the rectangle style gives you. The tapered end still set up like an A-frame, but you get a little bit more protection. You actually cut weight on those because the way you set them up. The lower end can go down where your feet go, or the narrower end can go down by your feet. Anyways, what I picked up was the other style, which is a Hex Cut. The reason for that is because I am primarily going to be using it with my hammock, and the Hex Cut allows you to, or gives you the catenary curves and let you get a little bit more taut pitch on it, especially when you're hanging it between trees. So before I get it out and set it up, let's go over a few specs here. This is the 11 foot long by 8 feet wide. The material is 30D ripstop nylon, and it is treated with silicone, of course, being a sill nylon tarp, Siltarp as they call it. But I think it's also got a coating of polyurethane, so it's kind of a dual coating on it. And they say it's hydrostatic resistant, or its hydrostatic resistance is 5,000 millimeters. So it's been treated in such a way to prevent or significantly reduce any kind of misting that some people get when sill nylon tarps, when they're really getting pounded with rain and humidity, and the tarp just gets completely saturated while it still keeps the raindrops from coming down on you. They do have a reputation for misting in prolonged rainstorms, from my understanding. In my experience with sill nylon tarps, I've never experienced a storm that long to produce that effect, but it's nice to know that if that ever happens, this in theory will have much less of that misting, if any at all, going on underneath the tarp. So anyhow, I did weigh it. The website manufacturers, Paria Outdoors, on their website, they say that this particular kit at this size, I want to say it weighed, they said it weighed about 16.5, 16.8 ounces. So interestingly enough, when I put it on my little kitchen scale, complete with tarps and guy lines in here, it only came out to be about 14.8 ounces. Alright, so I'm just going to open it up and inside. You do get a little stuff sack here. I believe this is the stuff sack primarily for the stakes. When I took it out at home, I think it came with another little stuff sack. I'm not sure if it did. I left it out because I just threw the guy lines that came with in with the stakes. And it does come with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little guy lines here. So apparently you get there's 6 corners or tie-outs on the tarp. We'll see that when we get it set up. 1 for either end that goes to the trees, and then 2 for each side going down to the ground. So of course they do include 6 aluminum stakes here, fashioned like MSR groundhogs, groundhog minis actually, and so yeah, so they got the little triangular shape to them. And then of course the tarp folded neatly inside the rectangular stuff sack here. Alright, so let's get it rigged up and have a look at it a little bit closer. There it is, guys, all set up in standard mode there. Let's take a close-up look at some of the details. So the cordage that comes with the kit here, the little pull-out tabs, the little pull-outs on the stakes, which is a nice touch, and of course the guy lines themselves, they are, it's 1.5 millimeter of Dyneema reflective guy line. The guy lines, again, there's 6 of them, and they are 10 feet long in length, but of course much shorter when set up, made possible by these little line locks here. They are plastic, and I will say starting out they do feel a little bit cheap. I'm not so confident they would hold up for a long time with many uses in windy, stressful conditions. But you know, they do make things convenient when you've got nothing else and you're just starting out. So I'm not sure how I feel about the line either. I mean, it's nice being reflective, and it's being so thin, it does make it very lightweight. But again, you know, if it frayed a little bit or got snagged on anything, I don't know that this would hold up very long. It just seems like it would be easy for it to get caught up on something and then just fray apart real easy. But anyways, moving on. So they do have nice, looks like polyester tie-off points here at each corner. I would say one thing that would make the tarp a little bit better is if underneath each little corner here there was an extra little pocket of fabric here just to put your guy lines in. I like to keep mine tied on to my ground corners here, and it just makes it convenient for packing away if it had a little pocket to store those guy lines in. But no matter, it's certainly not a deal breaker. And so each corner is very much the same. Again, I talked about the catenary cut here. For those who are not familiar with catenary cuts, it's just simple curvature in the geometry of the from corner to corner on the fabric there. And again, that just allows you to get a little bit of a tighter, more taut pitch with each corner, so you don't have as much sagging to try and deal with and compensate for. And again, there's also a little bit of a cut even in the ridge line here to help keep it nice and taut across the top there. Setting this up, this is the part I struggled with the most, and the only part I really struggled with is having to hang the end corners to the trees using the original hardware it came with. Again, just another one of these guy lines with the line lock attached to it and looped through. So I actually had to pull one end of the line through and remove it from the line lock to get it wrapped around the tree here, and then brought the line back through the line lock and then through the tie out point here on the tarp, and then ended up tying a little taut line hitch here, hoping to adjust it here, being able to adjust it. And again, this would take a lot of effort, depending on, you know, how far apart your trees were, to get this to work ideally and get a nice taut pitch on either end. But you know, I made it work. I don't know if there's a better way, but if there is, I couldn't think of it. So I'm sure there's better knot you could do to tie this off, maybe a taut line hitch, or not taut line, maybe a trucker's hitch of some sort to loop it through. In hindsight, that might have actually worked better on either end. So anyhow, that's what we got going here, and it worked. Alright, so let's have a look at it in porch mode. Okay, so for porch mode, just take the trekking pole here, and actually let out all the slack in the line lock here. And up with the tarp, put the loop over the trekking pole here, and then readjust my line lock. And then just do the same, for the other end. Okay, and here we are with the porch mode set up. Let's look at it from underneath. Porch mode here. Of course, you can go to ground with it as well. So a little bit of space underneath there. You can throw your hammock under there and use it as a bug bivvy, or just throw a ground cloth down and put your pad down, sleeping bag or quilt, and good to go. So that's a look at the tarp here. A quick look at it and some of the details on it. Again, I haven't had any long-term use with it, so I'm going to release another video soon here where I'm actually going to modify this tarp a little bit, just by replacing a couple of guy lines on the ends here with a Dutch Rare Gear ridge line that comes with soft shackles and tarp wasp, I think is what's on there for the hardware, to tighten it up, just to make things so much more convenient. Whoa there. And I'm also gonna probably put this thing in some snake skins that I've got. I used them on my last tarp. I just took them off. They're just some mesh snake skins I sewed up myself quite a while back, and for the time being they're the best I've got to make setup and take down so much more convenient on the tarp here. And I think I may, just because I don't like hardware on the guy lines themselves, convenient as they are, I just don't trust plastic hardware on these guy lines. So I do have some other guy lines that I've removed from my other tarp. Probably gonna throw those on there as well. They're a little bit more durable guy lines, might be minimal more weight, probably, and I've also got a little bit of a shock cord on the ends of them to help with any sag from the tarp getting cold or moist at night. Should keep the tarp nice and taut with the addition of the elastic. So anyways, that's it for this video, so catch you guys next time.